Today's lesson is going to be on estimating calculations. Now, in order to be able to do this, you need to know about significant figures. This was yesterday's lesson. If you're unable to round to significant figures, you'll struggle with this. If you have not done yesterday's lesson yet, you need to do that before you do this one. Okay, so let's begin. Right, so math teachers always seem to be good at working out answers to complicated calculations. Some are very quick at doing that, but others just have a way of estimating, a way of getting a good educated guess. So if somebody asks, what's 7.25 times 2.96? A math teacher might answer, just over 21. And they say it in a way that sounds like, yeah, you don't need to know the rest of it. If it's just over 21, that's enough. But in reality, that's as far as the teacher knows it to, because they're estimating. You're not going to work it out exactly like this. Not in your head, not in a couple of seconds. The way it's done is by rounding each part of the calculation to one significant figure. So 7.25 round to one significant figure becomes 7. 2.96 becomes 3. So the calculation becomes 7 times 3. So you get 21. Some people might stop there and say about 21, but the maths teacher said just over 21. So if you have a look about how much we did as far as rounding goes, we rounded this down by 0.25. So the real answer's going to be quite a bit bigger than this 7. And we rounded the 2.96 up, but only by a very little, by 4/100ths, compared to 25/100th, we rounded that down. So that's how we know it's going to be a little bit more. Okay? So that's how they can say just over 21. So I'm going to work out these ones by rounding each thing to one significant figure. So 3.01 becomes 3. 3.95 becomes 4. And then that works out to be 12. 8.73 becomes 9. 8.4 becomes 8. 9 times 8 is 72. It's much easier than working out these things exactly. 84.48 becomes 80. 5.93 becomes 6. Now 8 times 6 is 48. We put a 0 on it, it's 480. Now it's important here, we don't round that to 84, we don't round it to 85. It's not about rounding it to the nearest 5 or the nearest whole number. It's one significant figure. I'm not doing 84 times 6, that's much harder than 80 times 6. 57.68 rounds to 60. 7.73 rounds to 8. Again, 6 times 8 is 48, and add the 0 on. 85.7, it's going to round up to 90. It's a little bit closer to 90 than 80. And 71.2, that's going to round to 70. 9 times 7 is 63. There are 2 zeros to add on. So much easier doing it this way. Right, so local scout group had to buy 49 cakes, each costing £3.09 for a party. And there's 102 scouts, and they all have to pay an equal share. So between the 102 of them, they've got to buy 49 cakes costing £3.09. And the scout leader reckons that if they pay 80p each, that should cover the cost of the food. Was he correct? Now, we could work it out exactly, but the whole point of this exercise is to estimate. And so if we do an estimated calculation, we should find out if that's right or not. So 49 cakes, it's going to round to 50. £3.09, we can round to £3. And 102 people, can round to 100. So the 53 and the 100 I talked about, that's 50 times 3, because that's how much the cakes cost in total. You've got the number of cakes times the cost, and then divided by 100 because the cost of it is being shared between these 100 people. It's actually 102, but we're only doing an approximate and estimated calculation. 50 times 3 is 150. Divided by 100 means move the decimal point back a couple of places. £1.50. So 80 pence is way off. If he only charged everyone 80 pence, then he'd be paying for a lot of it himself. Right, so here we've got John drives from London to Glasgow, very far away places. Drives for 7 hours and 53 minutes, covering 639 kilometers. We want speed in kilometers per hour. So remember that speed equals distance over time. So we're going to do this number divided by this number, but we're going to estimate it. So 639 is going to round to 600, and 7.53 is going to round to 8 hours. So 600 divided by 8, 75 kilometers per hour. Okay. His actual speed is going to be a bit different, but that's all we care about is approximate speed. Estimate the distance. So London to Glasgow is 639 kilometers. So we've got to use the ruler to find out what the scale is. Put this on there. Make it a little bit shorter. Put this on there. And then turn it around to London. You can see that that is about 5 centimeters for 639 kilometers. Let's find out how far it is from Cardiff to London. It's about 1.5. So I'm just going to estimate and say, well, it's about 3 times less, so maybe 200 instead of 600. Okay, they reckon it's about half. That's not what I got when I measured it. Oh, it says Cardiff to Preston, doesn't it? Okay, that's my mistake. Let's just check that one. So, Cardiff to Preston, not Cardiff to London. And if we do that one, about 2. So they're exaggerating about it being about half. Because, as we said before, if it's 2, and this one's more like 5, then it's not exactly half, but we'll go with what they say anyway. So let's say 320. So that was a bit of a struggle, but we got the idea. I just saw the wrong place. I did Cardiff to London instead of Cardiff to Preston. Okay. Right, approximate distance from Cardiff to Preston is 300 kilometers. We put 320, they accepted it. Jane drives from Cardiff to Preston at 61 kilometers an hour. Estimate how long it'll take you. So let's round that 61 down to 60. 300 divided by 60, it's going to be 5 hours. Okay, that's that for that one. Right, so multiple choice questions. It's going to keep generating estimation questions for us to practice, so we'll do a few of these. So round each part to one significant figure. So that'll go to 10, take away 10. Right, so 10 squared is 100, take away 10 is about 90. Which one's closest to 90? This one is. Right, BIDMAS, so 0.5 times 4 is 2. 2 out of 100, 102. What's closest to that? Well, this is closest, but let's look at this and be careful for a second. It's 119 add something, so it's going to be more than 117. So you've got to think about like the math teacher at the start. Is it just over? Is it just under? As well as rounding. 12.41 rounds to 10. 10 take away 7. Sorry, 10 squared is 100. 100 take away 7. Well, it's going to be about 93. So it's about 30 away. But I know that 12 squared is 144. So I think it's going to be this one. Okay, so it's not always obvious, but you'll never really get asked ones like this in an exam. Or if they do, then they won't make the answers quite so awkward. But you should still be rounding one significant figure, but then also thinking about, is it going to be just over or just under? Because I rounded both of these parts down, I knew it had to be higher than my estimation of 90 something. I'll do one more. So this can go to 3, this can go to 8, which means 24. But again, if I rounded both these parts down, it's going to be bigger than 24. So even though this is the closest, it's going to be this one. Okay, right, last thing, another beat the clock. Let's see how many approximate answers we can get. I'll just get 10, and we'll see what we get. So 9 squared is 81. 81 take away 3 is 78. You can just watch this and get the hang of it. Right, BIDMAS, so do this bit first. 10 times 9 is 90. 90 add 90 is 180. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 plus 60 is 90 again. 9 times 7 is going to be 63. 63 add 100, 163. You get the idea. 10 times 0.8 is going to be 8. 0.9 times 8 is going to be 7.2. So they can be pretty tricky with decimals in there. 6 squared is 36. Take away 4, 32. 4 plus 1, 7 is going to be 11. 9 times 10 is going to be 90. So tempting to round that to 11 because it's so close, but remember one significant figure, and 11 uses two significant figures. 0.4 times 5 is going to be 2, and that's the 10 I said I'd do. So I'm not going to do any more because you hopefully get the hang of it. So apart from that distance one, I think it's all pretty straightforward. Okay, if you have a look at the homework, you don't really have to worry too much about the distance one. You just have to be able to do the other estimations. Okay, so do the homework. If you get stuck, ask me in the chat and I will help you out. Okay, that's it.